No, it used to be. Are
So
we?
your term.
We're not roll. This is not going on, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just
Yeah.
no.
Live on air. This is on Chuck
love
FM right now.
I love my presidency more than life itself. It was the best year of my life.
And it's over.
Yeah. Okay.
story.
Now we
I'm sticking to it.
clap. Now we clap.
Yeah.
All right. Everybody ready?
Yes.
All right, cool. Well, hello, and welcome to the Building a Business podcast, powered by the Mount Pleasant Chamber of Commerce. We are here recording in the Charleston Media Solutions studios. They are huge supporters of the Chamber. Thank you all so much. And also thank you to our podcast sponsor, DK Design. My name is Kathy Herman, and I am a past president of the Mount Pleasant Chamber of Commerce. Past president. Past president. And I'm also the chair of the Rise Women in Business Committee for the Chamber. And my real job, I'm the marketing director at Mount Pleasant Town Center. Just finished an incredible Christmas season. Thank you also very much for shopping at Town Center.
Nice.
Really appreciate it. I am joined again today by my favorite co-host, Mike Compton. Mike Compton is the co-owner. I got it right this time, right? Yeah.
Give
the
George
co-owner
some props.
of Roombo Advertising.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
He is the former chair of the Mount Pleasant Chamber of Commerce
that's
Marketing
sad
Committee.
to say, former chair. Yeah,
It's
You're
okay.
right.
It's
You're
former,
right.
yeah.
You're right. You're former president. I could be former
I'm,
too. Right?
Past.
Can I be a former or no?
It could be a former. Yeah. And but Mike is also the current president of the Charleston American Marketing Association chapter. So thank you for coming again, Mike.
Our sister podcast, the Charleston Marketing Podcast. Host of that. So check out those episodes. We are very lucky to have.
I know. I'm so excited.
Our guest
you know why?
today.
Because not only do I love food and beverages, like it's a part of everyday life, but we are really excited about our guest today.
Gotta eat.
You got to eat. And especially when you go to a party in Charleston, you got to eat. Let me tell you a little bit about him. Our guest today is the CEO and founder of Top Shelf Catering. If you've been to a party in Charleston, you've had their food. Multifaceted, veteran-owned, thank you for your service, catering company that's based here in Charleston. But I just found this out, and I can't wait to talk about it. You serve customers throughout the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We sure do.
Cannot wait to hear about that. Top Shelf is proud to be the preferred food and beverage vendor for the Citadel Beach House, Charleston Southern University, Medical University of South Carolina, Carolina Country Music Festival, and more.
Dang. Well, the Mount Pleasant Chamber, too. Our luncheons,
more.
right?
Oh,
Well, the most important one, of
is
course.
the Chamber.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
Chamber
right.
We can't be, MUSC, or anything like that. They take pride in their widely diverse menu options and ability to personalize their services to suit every taste. So our guest, you have years of experience as both a chef and a business manager. And as a result, it really gives you the opportunity to provide unique hospitality, service, and quality to all of your clients. I'm so excited. Please welcome Robert Patterson.
Thank you.
Yay,
Glad to be
and
here.
there's the applause.
Yeah.
I know I'm good at that, right?
I know
Those
you are.
intros.
Very good. Very good. I love it.
Kathy's in a good mood.
It's like we're giving out an Academy Award or something.
That's
It's awesome.
right. I love it. Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So let's get wait a second here.
Yeah.
Let's get the elephant out of the room.
I do. Go ahead. What?
You don't know this.
I don't. Oh.
You don't know this, but we've all who live here in Charleston have seen Mr. Patterson on TV before.
Oh, no.
We've seen him. We've seen his face. We've seen his muscles, actually.
No.
Yeah, he's a fit gentleman. What was the commercial that I saw you on again?
It was the QC Kinetics. Of all things to be famous for in Charleston, for some weird reason, that is what I'm most recognizable for.
With the truck?
For having a messed up shoulder and having stem cell work done to it, and I agreed to do a commercial, and the rest is history.
I guess I need to watch more TV because I
don't know. Local news TV.
I tell people all the time when I'm at events, I'd love to be recognized as the event guy, but I see people staring at me from across the room, and I'm like, uh-oh. And then they come up to me, and it'll be some sweet old lady, and she'll say, "Is your shoulder better?"
Aww.
And I'll say, "Yes, ma'am, it is better," and they thank me for my service, and it is quite interesting. And since the funniest thing about that is since that they have franchised, so they have like 300 locations all over the states.
Okay.
I was doing an event on the Jersey Shore last summer, and I was in Atlantic City, sitting at a bar eating dinner.
No.
And the couple says, you're that guy from that commercial. They were like, are you from Boston? I said, no, ma'am, I'm from Charleston. They just play that. And then they start, oh, does it work? And then I'm having this whole commercial about it. So my boys at QC Kinetics have unfortunately made me infamous all over the United States.
Oh, that is hysterical.
You need to get
Not
paid.
for food and not for events, but for my stem cell work.
So you were in the commercial because you were a patient, or
Yes.
because you're a good actor?
No, because I was a patient.
Oh,
I was a patient early on when they were getting started. Before they even had an office in Charleston, they were doing some satellites. And I got to know the owners and kind of helped them with some business ideas in Charleston. And then we just hit it off. And then they came back and asked me to be in the commercial.
Will you be in a commercial?
I mean, it was true. It helped. So,
Yeah.
I mean, why not?
Well, why not?
I just wish. Then I start seeing Emmett Smith and all these famous actors in their commercial. And I'm like, I bet they don't have as many referrals as I do. I wish I had the same deal as them.
Yeah,
I have a
right.
sneaking suspicion they're getting paid a little bit better
just
than
a
I
little
was.
bit more. Just a little bit more. Oh, that's so funny.
Had to get that out of the room. So
That's
stop
right. That's
staring
right.
at the YouTube here, folks. This is the QC Genetics
That's
guy.
where you recognize him from.
That's right. That's right.
Awesome. Listen, all right.
talk about Top
Yes,
Shelf,
let's talk
shall
about
we?
Top Shelf and kind of give us a little bit of background of your background.
Yeah, you said you where are you from? You from here?
I'm actually from Southeast Georgia. So I grew up in the St. Simons Island, Brunswick, the Golden
I was
Isles
just looking
area.
at today to go on vacation next week.
Well, we can talk about
Okay.
that for sure. I can give you the 411, but
Awesome.
that's where I grew up. And then straight out of high school, went into the Marines and did a tour in the Marines. And when I got out, went back to St. Simons and Sea Island and got my first job at a 5-star resort down there called the Cloister. And that's where the hospitality side began. So
Wow. So
but-
what did you do when you first started?
Well, when I first started, I worked in a department called the Conference Services Department. So we handled all the large groups. So anything from companies that were doing seminars down there to weddings to any of that. And I started off as like basically an errand boy, an assistant. I was 21 years old, working in an office with all women. I just got out of the Marines. So
Well, that's not a really bad place to be now, is it?
no, it was funny, but it was funny because when I applied for the job then, people may not know this or remember this, but there was a time where they had age requirements. So you had to be 25 to fill this job. And I said, look, I just spent 4 years of my life all over the world defending my country. I think I'm ready for this job, and they gave it to me. But you talking about jumping out of the pan into the fire when it came to service and hospitality. I didn't know anything about it from that level. I mean, I didn't know what the different size forks meant. I didn't know any of that stuff. And so they started, went through some pretty rigorous training. And I mean, they would tell me, Rob, go do this. And that's what I did. And the ladies loved that because, you know how offices can be. There's a lot of office politics, but they laughed. They were like, we have a Marine on our staff. We just tell him to go move those tables over there and it just gets done. Nobody asks any questions.
Pick them up with one hand, right,
Yeah.
and move
Yep.
them to where they
So
have
that's-
to
Oh,
go.
is that what happened to the
Yes.
shoulder?
It could have been.
Aw.
No, the shoulder injury actually went all the way back into the Marines.
okay.
But yeah, it was, so that's where I got started.
That's
Nice.
amazing.
Yeah. Yep.
And obviously it started something in you. It stirred something in you to, stay in the restaurant
It did.
or hospitality industry.
What did
So-
you do after that?
Yeah,
It did. So I was there for 5 years, and as crazy as it may seem, as I was developing and learning more in the resort industry, they reinvented a gun club there. Okay, so it was just like you see clay target shooting and all those kind of things, and I had a background in that, and they asked me to come and help get that off the ground and help start running and doing shooting lessons and things there. Cool. And so I pivoted completely, but I was still in the service business because no matter whether you're at the gun club, the golf course, the tennis court, at a 5-star resort, the standard is
service,
there.
correct. Yeah.
And so you were doing more entertainment than you were doing education when it comes to the shooting experience. And you would have people from all walks of life. And I just learned really quickly that, wow, this service thing is where it's at for me. And I just kept making contacts, and job offers were flying, everything from pharmaceutical companies to this and that, because, it just became natural to me to interact with people and provide that level of service. So that led to different options and opportunities, but I spent about probably the better part of the next 5 or 6 years in the shooting world, doing everything from teaching, competing, consulting, writing, doing a lot of different things like that. And it wasn't until I got a little burnout of doing that, and the money wasn't very good, until I started getting back into food and beverage.
Sure. What year was that?
Good Lord. That had to been, it was probably about 2005. Okay. It was about 2005 when that part of that chapter of my life was starting to fizzle out. And when you do something that you love, then you do it as a career for a long time, you kind of lose the excitement of doing it. So I grew up hunting and shooting and doing all that, but being on the other side of the counter was not as much fun as actually getting to do it.
Sure.
So I started looking at other opportunities, and that's when the food and beverage doors started.
That's how I feel about golf. I was just got too good at golf. No, I really didn't.
Isn't it terrible to be so good at golf?
Yeah.
But I'm trying to. So did the hospitality industry in Charleston get you up here because you were in Georgia, or did something else bring you to Charleston?
Actually, I was in Georgia. The shooting business brought me, and I did a stint in North Carolina for a little bit. And then that also brought me down to the Myrtle area. Okay. And so I kind of hung up, put the gun in the case for the final time in the Myrtle area, and was essentially starting over. And so I was looking around and I was like, okay, now what do I do? So in the meantime, I said, I'm going to just go get a serving job. I'm going to go get a job as a server.
Yeah.
And walked into an Olive Garden in North Myrtle Beach.
Not.
Yes.
Yep. Walked into an Olive Garden in North Myrtle Beach. Sat down there as a 30.
You probably didn't get the job.
Yeah, as a 30-year-old, I got a 25-year-old guy interviewing me, and he says, this is high volume in the summertime. I don't know if you can handle it. And I said, look, if I can take care of people half as good as I want to be taken care of myself, I said, I think I'll be okay. So they took a chance on me, hired me as a server. And within about a month, I was a trainer, and they were trying to get me into the management and all that stuff. So that's where the official love of food and beverage really came, because
of all the places to go. And I'm not saying anything bad about Olive Garden.
Yeah.
But of all, we're known.
Yeah, and that was in Myrtle. But
still, they've got a little bit.
But it was all about then. I just needed somewhere that would accept me for not having a lot of experience, and somewhere that I knew that the money was going to be good. And I got into that, and it was all of that. And I also learned, that was my first really experience with the food and beverage industry. Mm-hmm. And I really fell in love with the people, the diversity of walking in every day, and there could be somebody, from Ohio, or somebody's from even in another country, and all walks of life, and everybody just kind of came into this one melting pot. And I just was around people, to be quite frank, that I really wasn't around a lot. And I just, this is great. Mm-hmm. And plus, you never know who's going to be sitting at your table.
Of course.
So you're Olive Garden. And then you're on center stage, and you have their undivided attention for the next hour. And so they're at liberty to whatever you want them to experience from you. So
I feel like the world would be a little bit of a better place if everybody had served tables one time in their life.
I 100% agree.
I worked in a restaurant for 10 years. Mm-hmm. 10 years. Yeah. I learned everything I needed to know about life from working in a restaurant.
Correct. That's a long time in one place for a restaurant.
Yeah, my next door neighbors owned the restaurant, so I started when I was 12. Yeah. Don't tell anybody.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you can do that. Yeah. But you're exactly right, because you learn, number one, you learn how to be polite and patient and interact, but also like the efficiency, like having to move on another scale, move fast. Mm-hmm. I'm like you, from the foundation I built in the Marines, and then the working at a 5-star resort from the hospitality side of things, and then the restaurant, that kind of completed everything that I needed in order to start, working on a successful career path.
Because one of the most important things is discipline.
Yeah.
When it comes to the hospitality business, because we know there's a lot of fun to be had. So I'm sure your military helped you be disciplined and not get into some of that.
It did. There were so many fun stories, because being.
Sure.
Oh, I've got that question before we leave.
That was fun, kind of maneuvering through that part of it. What you were saying.
I did not have that military, so I did not have any discipline. I bartended and That's fine.
But I want to know how you started a catering company in Charleston.
Okay,
well, first, so you went from Myrtle. Sorry, Kathy.
Yeah.
It's okay.
You went from Myrtle to Olive Garden to Top Shelf.
No, so I
Yeah.
went. I was offered a management opportunity in Charleston at the North Myrtle or the North Charleston Olive Garden there.
Oh, no.
okay.
No.
So
Yes.
the OG
You got
brought
promoted.
you here.
I got promoted, but let me tell
From
you,
Myrtle to North Charleston.
let me tell you, in the course and the landscape of my career, you talking about a learning experience. You're talking about leaving as a server, okay, and a trainer in a restaurant that was operating at a very high level with great management, great staff, clean, efficient, to going into. You remember the movie Lean on Me with I was going into East Side High because it was a disaster when I got there. And so all of a sudden, this is my first restaurant management job, and this is what I was handed.
A lot of work out of you.
I remember after 2 weeks filling out applications thinking, I'm leaving here. And I called my old GM, and he said, look, just make sure you give a notice so you leave on good terms, so you're still in good standing with the company, with Darden. But he said, I'm surprised at you. And I said, what do you mean? He said, because I would have thought you would have changed it.
That's what the first
know
thing
what I
in my
mean?
mind was.
And when he told me that, I remember driving home, and I remember turning down a restaurant job manager offer somewhere else, and I stayed. And it was the best thing that I ever did.
Yeah.
It was.
Huh?
Because you don't seem like a quitter to me. That's
No.
for sure.
No, it was tough though. I mean,
Yeah.
being a young manager, and I say young in experience, it was brutal. It was tough, but I learned so much.
Did you turn it around?
We did. We turned it around. We went from being the second to the last restaurant in our division out of 90 to one of the top 3. And we did that. We did that in about a year. And it
That's
was
something
it
to
was
be
me,
proud
and
of,
I have
yeah.
to give credit to some other managers that they hired, and we just all decided to roll up our sleeves and get in there, and we turned it around, and it was great. It was awesome.
Wow.
So enter Top Shelf.
Yep.
So you put your 2 weeks in, obviously, at Olive Garden. and then in what year did you decide to start Top Shelf?
So in 2008, okay, in 2008, and through about 2014, I was really in that mode of, okay, I like the restaurant business. I'd had a lot of success. There were job opportunity offers, but everybody wanted you to move, to relocate. You got to relocate if you want to keep climbing the corporate ladder. And so, so then I started thinking to myself, I've got this experience. I really would like to work for myself. During all this tenure of me doing these other things, I was always hustling on the side. I was always detailing cars, or I was, picking up little side jobs, refereeing games and doing these things because having grown up with not a whole lot, I always wanted to be able to tip the scale and have some financial freedom. And I was always willing to do whatever I needed to do that. But I just long-term, I knew that if I kept climbing the corporate ladder, I could probably get to a point that I was very comfortable living, but I knew that if I started my own business, there was no ceiling. I was the ceiling.
Right.
And so so I started thinking about it and putting some feelers out, and there was so much to do in getting started, but I was talking to a couple of different clients that I had had in the past from a catering perspective, and finally I got up the nerve. It was like divine intervention. There was somebody had told me about a woman that was getting out of the catering business. She had been was starting a family and was doing that, and she had a trailer with like a bunch of chafing dishes, a bunch of stuff in it, and she said I want to sell all this. And I remember it was like $7,000. And all I could think of was, how am I going to get $7,000 like that? That was a lot of money for me then, still kind of maneuvering through and not having a lot of extra income. But I figured out a way to do it, went and bought all the equipment in the trailer. She had a couple of stuff in a storage unit. And I went after my first catering gig, and I got it. And on the strength of that first catering gig, I was able to get, uniforms and to get the basic equipment that I needed to get started. And then the rest, it was just history. It was just building it.
It's that one first client,
that
right?
One thing,
that's that important first client.
That one thing. And, it was my very first client. I still have them as clients.
Stop.
I would hope so.
Yep.
Do you still have the chafing dishes from that trailer?
I still have the trailer.
You still have the trailer.
It was funny because the trailer's beat up and it's seen better days, but I almost got rid of it. And one of the girls that's been with me since the start, she was like, Rob, we can't get rid of that. No. That's where this all started.
She was like, I'm sentimental. I couldn't do that either.
She was like, even if we never use it, that always has to, we always have to keep that. And I said, you know what? You're right. So I still have it. So it's pretty cool.
And where'd the name Top Shelf come from?
Yeah.
I when I was thinking about names, my desire to start the catering company was I wanted to create a top dollar experience without the top dollar price. I felt like at that time in Charleston, there was the what I would say kind of entry level caterers, and then there was the very big dogs, the very expensive, and I felt like there was a need for someone in between, someone that could deliver on that high level experience without breaking the bank. And so I said, a company like that, it's just Top Shelf, and so
there you go.
So
ding, ding, ding,
so
right?
so that's what it was, and I started kind of this little mantra of Top Shelf, not top dollar. And so that's where it all came from, and then the rest was history.
That's cool.
Yep.
That's really cool. I mean, I got to ask. There's so much competition in Charleston these days. So, tell us how you stand above the rest. What you do differently. Why people should pick Top Shelf over any other.
Over like the H1.
Well,
we all know that one. Right?
Everyone's members of the chamber. We love you all.
We love them.
We love you all.
Yep.
We just happen to be talking to Robert today.
Yep.
Yeah. No, and you know what? You're right. There are great caterers. And the thing that I love about Charleston in most instances is I'm as friendly with my competitors as I am.
I say you probably all know each other by now, right?
You know each other, and there's enough business to go around. The caterers that come and go, that come in and, they either don't deliver on what they've been contracted to do, they weed themselves out. And so those of us that have been here and stood the test of time, we all have really great working relationships because, for instance, I have a bar service. I might be doing bars for one of the other catering companies,
right.
And vice versa. They might be doing bars for one of mine. So, your bartenders want to eat. Yeah, we're going to feed you, and all those kind of things.
Yeah.
So it is, that's what you have to do. But what I try to tell people is, my chef's incredible. And she has been with me from the beginning and has been cooking for over 40 years. And the food is the centerpiece of anything that you do from a catering perspective. But what separates you from your competitors is the service. And my background, going all the way back to those first days at the Cloister, has been we're going to deliver an over-the-top experience on service. And that just doesn't mean from the time you get there for the event. That means returning phone calls, responding to emails, being pleasant, being grateful that you called and inquired about using our business, and then delivering on that experience. And the other thing that I was most proud of is, of all the years I've had this company, I've never put an ad on Indeed that I'm looking for people.
It's really funny because that was going to be my next thing.
Yeah.
How hard it is to find people, quality people to work these days.
Oh, yeah.
And to have apparently all these people that have been working for you for a while.
Oh, yeah.
And it's odd hours, it's nights, it's weekends, it's
Right.
it's the time of that nobody wants to work.
That's right.
Yet here you are with this fantastic service.
Yeah.
How do you manage that?
Well, I'll tell you, it comes from, number one, you build a culture. All the textbook stuff. You make people want to feel appreciated. They come to work. You take care of them. But the other thing is I think most people, when they come to work, people are confused about this, but I think people enjoy structure. They want to know what to expect when they get there. They want to know what their expectations are. And then if they deliver on that, they want to be taken care of. But for me, where my business separates from a lot of others are everybody, the main core of my business has been built from within. So in other words, if I have a college student that's working and they are a rock star, they're going to go tell their friends, you should come work where I work. And then, or it's your cousin or your sister or your mother. I have so many parents and children that work, or friends and cousins and relatives, husbands, wives that all work for me. And it's because they're like, you want to work? You want to get some hours catering this weekend? You need to come work with me. And that is where I've built my business on. I've never, ever used a temp service one time in all the years I've done. And sometimes I will have 15 events in a day. Not one person and there's nothing wrong with the temp services. No, but I'm just saying,
that's something I think it's something to be very proud of.
It is. And I made a commitment, and the commitment is to my clients and my customers, is that if you are hiring me, you're hiring me and you're hiring my team. You're not hiring a person that's showing up on the job that has zero accountability, that's going to disappear when it's service time because they don't care. They're going to get hired to go work on another job next week, and there's no accountability. With me, everyone that works for me is directly accountable, or I hold directly accountable, and that is the game changer. That's the difference. I even have had other caterers in town call me and ask me to use some of my folks.
Okay.
And I've said, sure.
Well, it doesn't hurt you.
It doesn't hurt.
Employees some money.
Yeah, I know they're not going to leave and go work for them,
right?
Because they're not going to have the same experience.
Exactly.
But that is by far the game changer when it comes to the competition side of things.
Crazy.
Love that. Let's talk about chef.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's talk about cooking and food.
What kind of food does what's her name?
Kim. Her name is Kim Kerse. Kim has been with me for, she was with me pre-Top Shelf in the restaurant business.
Oh, no kidding.
Okay. She is Johnson & Wales trained. She has worked at, fancy restaurants downtown.
She can make a trio? She'll make the, what is it, the Olive Garden trio? Is she a chef there or no?
She was not a chef at Olive Garden. She was not a chef at Olive Garden, but
I wanted her breadstick recipe.
Yeah. Well, but she's incredible. And she grew up in Moncks Corner, so she's been in Charleston forever. She worked at some of the nicer resort or nicer restaurants downtown. And she actually trained me in a restaurant job for a while, and then the whole chain of command flipped up, and then I became her supervisor, and then we've been close ever since. And then I just brought her along, and she's been the center. She's been the only chef that I've ever had. And this is an absolute true story. This morning I met her at our catering kitchen at 2:30 because we had a huge breakfast catering going out for some local film production that's happening in town. But I met her there, and she beat me there and was already into it.
Is 2:30 still considered morning? Like what?
No,
what,
it's
like
the middle of the night.
No,
sorry, that's what it is. Yes,
that's right.
I'm just saying. That's
but
awesome.
for a breakfast order, I can understand.
Yeah,
that
totally.
You have to get up.
Yeah.
Now, does she physically? She's got help.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
She has.
You can't physically cook all
that
by yourself.
She has a great sous chef, but Kim is an absolute beast. She can do the work of like 3 normal people, and that is kind of the way our company is. The girl that runs the bar part of my service, she's a beast. The girl that runs my operations, she's a beast. And there's no secret that the 3 women in my company are the ones that run the company. And I just get out of the way. And they say, Rob, how do you work with 3 alpha females? I say, I just get out of the way and ask them what they want, and I just give them what they want, and they go. So they're great.
The one thing I'm happy to hear about as a potential customer, as an
alpha female, as an alpha female, my bad.
He's my favorite. That's why he's my favorite co-host. No, I love the fact that if you have a breakfast meeting, say you're serving 100 people for breakfast, you're not cooking it the night before.
No.
You're cooking it that morning.
You have to.
I guarantee you, not everybody does
that.
Nobody's showing up at 2:30.
Yeah.
No. And that is part of the formula to being successful is there's a fine line between, cooking this too far in advance and the food quality suffers to not getting there in time
right.
And then you being late. Because if you're a minute late and you're an office manager and you have a training meeting starting and you're waiting on the food, that's a one and done for you. They're not going to hire you back.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
No, food's stale, food's old.
Yep.
Yeah, it's got to be perfect.
Yep, every aspect.
And where's
of
the
it.
kitchen?
Yeah,
The kitchen is in Mount Pleasant. So we
Is
were.
it in Mount Pleasant, really?
Yeah.
You know where it is.
No,
Kathy.
yeah, you know where it is. Our kitchen is in the Omar Shrine building.
Oh.
So we
Okay,
were
I
off
did
of
know
Long
that.
Point.
I did know that,
We
okay.
we were off of Long Point for years, and on towards the port side of it, off of Shipping Lane. But we just needed bigger, and then we had a great opportunity there to kind of partner up with the Shriners and try to help revamp some things over there. But also that the space also includes areas that are ample for our tastings and wedding tastings.
So that's that space.
Yeah.
All right.
The
So
space
that's
in front.
yours now. That
Yes,
used to be
that's
the
mine.
restaurant.
It's a
correct?
restaurant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. It sure
Yeah.
is. We've had so far this month. We've had 14 holiday parties in that.
You
space.
have not.
We have.
Didn't
We
you-
have one tomorrow, one Saturday, or one Friday, one Saturday. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
so it's
wow. So how's everybody getting out of?
Yeah,
It's got to be word of mouth. It's got to be more than word of mouth. It's
It
got to
is.
be. I mean, what else are you doing to get the word out?
great.
You partnered with the chamber. That was good.
Yeah, definitely. What I try to do is be involved at as many local events as I can. So whereas I may not spend a ton of money on traditional advertising, billboards and things like that, which are great if you're there, but I like to put my food in front of people. I like to put my people in front of people. So when there's events that happen, like Blessing of the Fleet, like the Children's Day Festival, any events in town, the fair, those things, when you can Wine Under the Oaks, there's any events that you can be forward facing to people, that is the key. And you just try to take full advantage of that. If you're doing a B2B type business, like we are this weekend, a very prominent Mount Pleasant business is doing a promotional an event. So we are going to be there doing food for their customers, and we have to make sure we put our best foot forward, because I've been doing this particular event for a number of years, and I probably get, without exaggeration, 8 to 10 spin-off events just from people that go there, take a bite of your food, your people are smiling, and say, you know what, I'm going to call you. So that is where we spend most of our time, and it's, at this point in time, it's all referrals.
Well, if you need a marketing person, you know how to get in touch with me, okay?
Yeah,
okay,
I
just
do,
making
for sure.
As long as I get to taste everything.
Yes,
and all that
yes,
kind of fun
absolutely.
Stuff, I'd be happy.
Right.
Absolutely.
I'd be happy.
Isn't the town center? Didn't you say the town center wanted to maybe call Top Shelf or something? No.
Well, no, I have restaurants that cater.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
whatever.
She has
But-
tons of restaurants
but
in
you
there.
did
I
say-
eat at one
But
probably two or
the
three
Top
times.
Shelf can come to my event, so we'll have
Yeah.
to talk to her
Yes.
about some other
Yes.
stuff. But yeah,
Yes.
I try to use my restaurants
Yeah.
for all of my.
That
Yes.
makes sense.
And then
options.
the Rise event, though, you were talking about a Rise
Yeah,
luncheon.
yeah, we're talking about the Rise luncheon, so we're working with
Mm-hmm.
them on that. Yeah,
That's great.
That's awesome.
should be a good time. I just love food. I
What
love
kind of
downtown.
food are we talking about?
Yeah,
though?
no.
Like what?
Well, it's everything.
I
isn't
understand
it?
that.
It
What's
is.
Kim's?
What's-
Kim's got to
yeah.
have a
I mean, nowadays in Charleston,
Chef Kim.
If it's a casual event, people are going to want some sort of variation of barbecue, whether it's pork, chicken, brisket, something along those lines. All the comfort foods, mac and cheeses, and different rices and different vegetable dishes. For an elevated experiences, Kim, to me, my favorite thing she does is she does this beef tenderloin, and to cater beef tenderloin and take it off site and serve it, and it still maintain
fall
the
off the
quality.
bone. Right.
Yeah, it is so good. And Kim makes this homemade like brandy peppercorn gravy that I may or may not have been inspired
I didn't have
by.
lunch yet.
I
That
did.
I
On
might have
purpose.
been inspired by Peninsula Grill years ago. And I told her, I was like, look, we need to have a gravy for the beef tenderloin like Peninsula Grill. But it is so good. And when you're doing a nice cut of meat like that, and you can do it at a catering event, and people can still cut it with a fork, and people are like, how do you do this? But knowing just how much to cook, knowing that it's probably going to continue to cook in hot boxes and in warmers until you get there without it drying out, slicing it on site, slicing it correctly on site. So those are some of my favorite things. But Kim does, I'll tell you right now, Kim does an incredible homemade chili, which sounds really simple, but in the low country, oyster roasts are a big thing. So we do a ton of oyster roasts, and having chili with
have
it.
to have chili.
Her chili,
Yeah,
her
that's great.
chili stops people in their tracks. Shrimp and grits is one of her staples. Obviously, that's a Charleston-y dish.
Oh, you said she's from Monk's Corner.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Charleston.
So shrimp and grits,
South
she loves to do. And there's just it never ends. Whatever.
So do the clients usually say to you, "I want this, this, and this," or do they
Right.
say to
Give a
you,
menu.
"Tell me what you think I should have at this party"?
Yeah. Well, most of the time, you ask someone, okay, tell me about your party. Tell me what you're doing. If it's something formal, it's plated, it's this, or is this are you entertaining a lot of executives? Are you entertaining high-end clients? Or is this a social function where we're doing hors d'oeuvres and appetizers? So you try to get a feel from the client first. And then obviously money's a factor. So you say, okay, what is your budget? There used to be a time when I first started off business, I would start these conversations with clients and I would just like dump all this stuff on them. And then they come back and say, well, I have $12 a person. You'd be like, all right, let me take the beef tenderloin off of there. But now most of my business is referrals. So people trust me.
Right.
So I go to them and I say, hey, what you working with? Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Are you working with $20 a person? Cool. I'm about to send you pick out of here, pick out of here, pick out of here if you got $20 a person. And I feel like a lot of businesses may not do that because they feel like they leave money on the table. I would just rather get where we need to get from the beginning. Everybody's busy now.
I say, why waste somebody's time?
Don't waste your time. If you have champagne taste on a beer budget, we need to recognize that first, and we can still give you as much bang for your buck. But it really does just help streamline the process. And I think too, a lot of people sometimes might be embarrassed of what their budget is. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Yeah.
And I tell people all the time, look, you're not going to hurt my feelings. Like, if you come to me and you tell me what you're working with, then we can give you some viable options that are going to work. But if you tell me you want to do a luncheon for 500 people and I'm giving you all these options and then we go all the way down the road and you say, well, Robert, we're just going to order pizza.
Yeah, that's a lot.
You're wasting each other's time and nobody wants to do that.
So now, how are you guys involved with all of these new, like Charleston Wine and Food? And I get confused. I apologize. There's Charleston Wine
Food and Wine and Wine and Food.
Is it that what it is?
There's two different ones?
Yeah.
Well, I think there's
there's one like with Food Network, and then one they were just here, and then there's one local, and they're basically. That's why I'm confused because it just switches the name. So the Food Network one was just here with like Manit Shoham was here, and my girlfriend volunteers, so she met all the chefs and stuff.
Right.
Do the local caterers get involved with that, or
some of us do, some of us don't, and I do some of those events. There are some, and I'll be honest with you, and this is no detriment to the festivals themselves, but there are some of them that ask a lot out of you. So if they're asking you for 2,000 samples and it's a Saturday in the fall and you have 6 weddings you're doing that day,
exactly.
it's just not feasible. Right. And again, without sounding arrogant or unappreciative, I mean, if you've been in business for 14 years and you're really like, you should have an established clientele and you should have a base of word of mouth. And so going out there and trying to get the word out or having your logo on a banner or something like that just doesn't have the same draw as it is if you're someone new and you're trying to get out there. Right. I always encourage new businesses to be involved in those. We would rather, like we did Wine Under the Oaks last Sunday, and my chef and I did a cooking demonstration. There's 5,000 people there that you can interact with, and we also have the ability to sell our food. That is a perfect scenario because you can at least break even on what your expenses are by selling and getting your food in people's mouth, but you also get to interact with a bunch of local people. And I can't tell you how many people are like snapping pictures. Oh, I have somebody that's going to get married, whatever. So that's where we try to. And I'm sure
you're probably a preferred vendor on most wedding venues, right?
Yes. And that again comes from doing what you say you're going to do. And that is, when you can get in as a preferred vendor, that's the beginning. But you also, if you're a preferred vendor, again, you have to make sure that if you're listed as a preferred vendor, if you show up late or whatever, and then these people complain to the venue and say, why do you have this caterer on here? This person is not responsive. They had all these hidden fees and all this stuff. They'll take you off
right
quick.
Real quick.
They are. Over the last month, there's been 2 different events as a preferred vendor at a venue where one of the preferred caterers got removed, and I had to pick up where they left off because they weren't being responsive to the client. Yeah. And it was a wedding, and it was unfortunate.
Oh, trust me, you don't want to deal with bridezillas either.
Yeah,
this is their day. You certainly don't want to mess something up.
Sure. That's exacked right.
Well, what you talked about national. You talked about nationwide.
Yeah, it's so exciting.
Well, this kind of happened. We started doing. We started going out, and there was we got invited to be a vendor. Okay, at a music festival, one in Myrtle Beach called the Carolina Country Music Festival. And we started there. And again, I've built my business from crumbs and small opportunities and tried to develop them into bigger ones. And so we got our foot in the door, and we were, just slinging barbecue, doing some fun stuff like that. And I got to know the promoters and the guys that started the festival, and they asked me to come at one of the festivals because the caterer that was in their super VIP section was falling short, running out of food, couldn't keep up, all that stuff. And he said, Rob, can I send some people to your booth if they get hungry and we just square up later? And I said, absolutely. So at the end of that weekend, I said, hey, I've served 800 people out of here. And I said, here's what I want to do. Instead of collecting $1 for all these people we fed, I want a chance to cater in super VIP. And they said, okay. I said, I just want to do a proposal. And he said, they were telling me, they said, well, we also have to feed backstage hospitality, all the bands and all that stuff, breakfast, lunch, and dinner during these 4-day festivals. And they said, do you think you could do that? I said, absolutely. And I said, and they said, and the promoter, the guy in charge of logistics said, Rob, if you can make it to where I don't get one phone call about food and super VIP or food from the bands and the artists, you'll have this forever. And we went in there, took it over. And so that was our first big one. We were serving 3,000 people in super VIP. We're serving 400.
Wait, I'm sorry. 3,000 people does not sound like super VIP
it is,
to
believe
me.
it or not. It is.
It's a big festival, apparently.
It is. 40,000 people at the festival.
Super
not
VIP?
only-
That should be VIP.
Yeah, and well, there's 8,000 in VIP.
Oh, jeez. That's why I don't go to those things.
So in what we have to do is you're serving 3,000 people appetizers for 2 hours. Then you're flipping the space and then serving them dinner. Now, I'm not talking about barbecue. I'm talking about prime rib. I'm talking about, chicken marsala, all this stuff. And you're serving them and doing that in a very small location. So we mastered that, and at the same time, we're doing the hospitality, all the dietary restrictions. The artist Carrie Underwood wanting hemp bowls, and Keith Urban wanting his green beans to be able to be cut with a fork, but not so hard that they're not.
That's a real thing, hey?
Oh, that's a real thing.
You can't make that
You
up.
can't make it up. But you got all these crazy requests that you're trying to adhere to.
Right.
And so once we started doing that, we got a name for ourselves to do that. So then we got invited to do a festival. They said, can you come do a festival in New Jersey? And I was like, okay, well, I have a mobile kitchen. I've never been to New Jersey. And I went on a scouting mission up there, and I started making all these contacts. What if I need this? Because I wanted to use all local vendors. Went up there, and we did it, and we've now been doing that event in Jersey for like 5 or 6 years.
Wow.
We do Charlotte, all over the state of South Carolina, pretty much things down into Georgia, and it's so we'll go
Jersey.
We'll go wherever. We've done Bonnaroo in Tennessee, the music festivals in Tennessee. So that's kind of become a niche. Is that artist
You're making
and
a name
VIP?
you're making a name for yourself in that part. That's a great niche to have.
So it's been a lot of fun doing that, because pretty much the whole month of June we have festivals back to back. My entire staff leaves. And you talking about,
but isn't June weddings down here are not as much, right? Because it's too hot.
we still do a little bit, but this business is such a big part and such a great revenue producer. We don't really take on too many things in June, and there really isn't that much to take on anyway.
So I'm a product of a hospitality owner. My dad ran bars and restaurants my whole life. Still is a bartender up in northern Michigan, actually. But my question is, it's hard, right? It's really hard. The finances and the inventory alone to keep up with. What are you doing? How are you doing that when it's such an ebb and flow industry? You have a lot of great clients. You're lucky like that, right? But you got to know the jobs to order the food, to order the people, to make the food, to serve the food. Like, that's a lot of moving parts just to do, even on the catering. Like, having a brick and mortar, at least you have people coming to you. You know what you're doing. But having a catering business, to your point, you are the ceiling. So you could just keep going and serving.
Yeah. Well, that's a great question. And from the expense standpoint, you know, food and labor are your biggest expenses. Right. And so over the years, and I will tell you, starting off in the catering business, you know, if you have 300 people and understanding and learning the formulas as to how many people you're going to have, okay, if this is going to be a 3 protein dinner, are you going to need all 3 proteins for all 3 people? Because the last thing you want to do is run out of something before everybody gets it. But also the last thing you want to do is have 100 of something left because it eats into your food cost and your profitability. There's no magic formula for it, unfortunately, but experience helps tremendously. The other thing I will tell you is having a good partner, a food distributor, being able to use local produce, local seafood, local things like that for people that I can call and say, hey, I need 6 bushels of oysters tomorrow. And they go out that morning and go get the oysters. Or you can go to a local produce company or a local bread company and you can get stuff last minute. That's extremely helpful. But the other thing is, and I'll go back to my people, having people that you trust that are spending your money like it's their money is a big difference. So Kim is probably tighter than I am when it comes to spending the company's money. Sure. She is going to make sure that, you know, she will sit down with me. If it's a client we haven't had before, she will sit down with me and say, okay, Rob, give me a little bit of background on these clients. Are we feeding a construction company at a topping off ceremony out in North Charleston? Right. Or are we feeding school teachers, at a school? Are these people, are we going to serve this? Are they helping themselves? So being able to control what you can control, that's the best thing. Now, where it becomes tough, and you guys probably know this in this day and age, especially for those of us that have bar services, you know, the insurance and those kind of things that have just skyrocketed has almost made it impossible to do business. And so then it puts added pressure on you to just absolutely make sure that you're crossing every T and dotting every I when it comes to responsible service, making sure you're not doing anything that's going to jeopardize, you know, your alcohol licenses, that's not going to jeopardize your insurance premiums. And that is the part that has been tough, but also like disposables, like dry goods now. I mean, we're paying in some instances 15 times for a disposable plate than what we were paying 3 years ago or pre-COVID. You know what I mean? And that is the little things that the consumer don't get.
Right.
The consumer
can't charge me back for my plate.
Yeah, the consumer doesn't get that. Wow. Okay. I mean, what do you mean there's an add-on for, you know, a nicer upgraded disposable plate? And you see people getting nickeled and dimed now, but the reason they're doing it is because caterers like myself, when they're going back and they're reconciling their numbers at the end of the month or the end of the year, and they're saying, okay, wait a minute, I was only charging $20 per person, but it was costing me $250 a person just in disposables and just in dry goods. Right. You can't, like, that eats into your profitability. Right. So that's got to be accounted for somewhere. You know what I mean?
Now, I've seen a trend, and maybe it's just me, but the last 2 weddings that I went to, they asked me what I wanted to eat before I got there.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, I don't know, because you're asking me 6 months before the wedding or whatever it might be. But obviously being in the business and meeting people like you, I realized, wow, that's got to save.
It does.
A lot.
Oh, sure.
I mean, obviously there might be a few here and there that change or whatever it might be, but if you've got a 250-person wedding and you know what 245 people are having for dinner, I mean, that's got to be really helpful.
It is, but you know where it's even more helpful? To the person paying for it. Because let's face it, if you're getting married and you want to offer a grilled chicken option and you want to offer a steak option and a vegetarian option.
Are they all different prices?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so there's not like one.
No.
I remember when I got married, it was just like a flat rate
Yeah.
for.
Well, but with commodities, the way things change.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, but the way things change, commodities, it does. But now, if I'm the father of a bride and I'm paying for a wedding, and I just did a plated wedding last weekend, and it was salmon, it was beef tenderloin, and it was a vegetarian option. If I say, okay, it's going to be $30 for the beef tenderloin, $22 for the salmon, and $15 for the vegetarian, I want to know, and I have 250 people. I don't want to pay $250. I want to do that. You can get away with that in a plated meal, but if that becomes a buffet self-service, that becomes a problem. You can't do that. No. But with plated meals that have a more formal setting, you can get away with that.
The last two, I did not happen to me a lot. Mm-hmm. The last two weddings I went to, I had to tell. That I had to say what I wanted for dinner.
Sure, yeah. I have to RSVP to my little sister's wedding. Yeah.
Is it included?
Should they want to know chicken or steak?
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
That's
right.
Well, now
steak, Lainey, steak.
Now I
know. I've got a question on behalf of all our events folks out there. Insurance for bar.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say hypothetically we have a Spark event on March 5th,
mm-hmm.
and we need a bar to have.
Mm-hmm.
Do I need to hold the insurance? Does the organization need to hold the insurance, or do you take care of the insurance? How does that work?
I'll tell you, there's a couple of different ways to answer that question. First of all, if you hire a accredited bar service that has insurance, you're covered there. Okay. Now, let's talk about, we all know how litigious the world is now. So no matter whether or not you hire a bar service with insurance and everything covered, if, lo and behold, something happens, they're coming after everybody.
Right.
Okay.
So let's just say your organization is going to say, we're covered through our bar service. We don't want our organization to get sued. So there's different companies that will sell insurance for just a one-day event, and they can be a couple of $100.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We always encourage, if you're an organization or if you're something like that, you can do that. The other caveat is most of your venues now are going to require me as the bar service to list the venue as additionally insured. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then I also always put my client additionally insured. But again, when it comes down to it, it's a better to be safe than sorry. Mm-hmm. But if money's tight and you really don't have that in the budget to do, you can sleep at night knowing that you have a bar service that has insurance. Because in my opinion, when the attorneys start circling, if they're coming to you and you're not a huge fundraiser with millions and millions of dollars, if you're a small local organization, they're going to say they don't have any money and they don't have the insurance. We're coming after Top Shelf. They've got all the insurance, and that's what it boils down to. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, it just does, and you're
talking to the wrong person.
And
I run a shopping center, remember?
Yeah. And so I would say, at very least, hire a bar service that has insurance and lists you as additionally insured.
Okay.
List the venue as additionally insured, and then if you want extra peace of mind, get online, buy a small policy for $250, $300 for the event, and then you're covered in every possible way you can be covered.
That's a quick Google search then. This is online insurance.
Yeah,
I can actually. We work with a company that does specific event insurance, because we have any vendor that comes on Town Center has to have insurance, and these little mom and pops don't have it.
Yeah. Right.
But there's a company that we work with that they'll cover them.
I'm just going to hire Top Shelf and do
it. Make it easy.
Yeah, hire them and forget about it.
Check that box.
All right, we've got a couple of fun questions before we let you go.
All right, let's do it.
Because I'm really hungry now that we've been talking about it.
I ate ahead of
Where are
time?
the samples?
I know. I should have. I don't know.
I remember. You remember when Callie came? At least she brought us biscuits.
She brought biscuits. Callie
that
brought
was
us
a
biscuits.
terrible call. And we have so much good stuff going out today, too.
I'm sure.
Man,
sure
we have some great holiday parties, and we have
go ahead,
the
keep
breakfast.
going. Keep going. Do you want this to air?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure you want this to air if you keep going.
ahead of time,
we're serving
so-
a lot of folks from a certain TV show that's filmed here today.
Oh,
so
Oh,
cool.
that's fun.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
times.
You can't say that though. Can you tell? You
I
can't.
mean, I
Is it Righteous Gemstones or?
No,
is
they're
it-
gone.
There's one it's Outer Banks. They don't.
I was gonna say it was
Yeah.
Outer Banks.
Yeah, they're doing a little.
I don't want to talk about how much I love Chase Stokes. We cannot get in this. We cannot talk about this.
Oh, is he an Outer Banks person?
Yeah, he's John B. Don't you watch it?
Uh-uh.
Oh, come on.
I have to
All
watch
right.
it now, Amanda.
Well,
All right,
yeah,
all
it's
right,
it's
all right.
yeah. Just you'll probably hate it.
I'll
It's,
put it on for my wife and watch it.
your wife will love it. Tell her to call me.
I'll like it more.
What is the strangest food request you've ever received from a client?
It's interesting that you have a lot of strange requests, but for us being a southern kind of low country based company, doing Indian weddings, it can be very interesting
Yeah.
That would make me
because
think
there
that-
are very specific ingredients,
Yeah.
and a lot of the times these clients will bring the ingredients to us because it's they got it from their country of origin, whatever it may
Sure.
be, and there's certain ways of it being prepared. So that is usually the strangest thing that we have to deal with. But again, Kim has adapted so well to it. She's like, "Oh, we did one of these before. We got this." Like,
She's got curry down
oh,
pat.
she's
now?
got
Yeah.
curry, all
Okay.
this fun stuff.
Would she
And-
ever hire like a guest chef to have like a specialized chef to do that type of thing? or
the only
just-
time I've ever done that, I've brought in sushi rollers
Sure,
before
sure.
and subbed that out. And sometimes if we sub out to like 167 raw for doing oysters on the half shell, the shuckers that are in there doing that. But most of the time, if it's a food item that I'm not comfortable with, I just don't do it. I don't do pizza. If somebody wants pizza, I bring in one of the local pizza food trucks or something, and I'm like, look, like pizza. I love pizza. I'm not going to pretend
You
like
don't
I know
wanna
how to
eat-
cook
yeah,
it.
you don't wanna eat
wanna
my
eat my
pizza.
pizza.
That's right.
Yeah, I order pizza is when I want it. That's
Oh,
it.
that's so funny. All right. What is the most hilarious moment at an event that you can laugh about now?
Wow. Okay. So I have a lot of those, believe it or not.
What's your favorite?
Yeah. So one of the funnest moments that you run into a lot of times is when you go to do an event and you've been dealing with a contact and they've been telling you this is how it's going to be, this, and this. And then all of a sudden you get there and the moment that I had was we had this huge, very formal plated meal at a large venue, and the folks supposedly had name tags and assigned seating, and we were giving this seating chart, and the venue was too small for this group. So when we rolled in there, they had the chairs and tables set so close together that you legit could barely get in between the tables to deliver the food.
Oh, no.
But the moment came. I'm acting as the maitre d', and I'm directing traffic based on these seating charts and where they're sitting. Everybody just took it upon themselves. I'm going to go sit with my friend over there.
No.
Yes.
But there's a seating chart.
Oh, they didn't care. Not only didn't care, there were 8 tops, and some people decided we're going to make this a 10 top, and we're going to do this. So not only could you not maneuver through the tables, when you got to the table and they were supposed to be 4 salmon, 4 steak, it was like, oh no, I got the chicken, and you're like, what's your name, John Smith? No, sir. You got the salmon, and you're supposed to be sitting over there. That's where your salmon is. Well, I'm sitting over here bringing. Oh boy. It was crazy. And then to make it so bad, that same event we were trying to maneuver, the client wanted us to serve a chocolate mousse dessert. She wanted them served in martini glasses with stems. Okay, so tray
Oh, no.
of martini glasses.
Oh, no.
And so I'm back behind the curtains and I'm telling my staff, and, they can't move through
Oh,
there.
yeah.
I say, y'all have to be so careful. Y'all work in pairs. So the very first pair that goes out, he's trying to go through. Somebody in their chair backs into
up.
him. Crash.
Oh my God.
Or the martini glasses go breaking the stems. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I still have PTSD from that. And every time somebody says, I still go all the way back to that when it comes to assigned plated meals, and I say there's got to be room to move in between there, and they got to stay in their seats.
Yeah, no
It's
kidding.
hysterical.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
thought maybe you were going to talk about like Olive Garden and maybe somebody ate too many breadsticks. Salad,
Oh, no.
They
Oh,
didn't
no.
leave.
There's
know.
never too many breadsticks.
All
No.
you can eat.
Yeah,
Never.
exactly.
All right. Two more. If you could ban one appetizer from all events, what would it be?
Anything on skewers.
Oh, is that right?
Why?
Because of
Prep.
the
prep. Man, I am so afraid every time I enter in a system, a caprese salad skewer or a beef skewer or some sort of kebab, because I have to face my chef.
Yeah.
And it's like, just think about this.
No,
You're like 1 item, 2 item,
Yeah.
3 item, 4 item, 5 item down, and then you have 500 people.
Yeah.
And it's 2 skewers per person.
Yeah.
So you have to do 1,000 of those, and you're just sitting there
Makes sense.
just doing that.
Oh,
So
yeah.
anything on a skewer, but ours are great.
I'm
They're
sure they
so
are.
good.
Well, because you make them with love, right? That's
And
why.
I'm
Right.
doing them this weekend, and it was funny. My chef said, "Rob, I hope you have somebody scheduled to come in and do these skewers. I'm not doing these skewers." And I was like, "Okay, I got you."
All right. I got one more for you.
Okay.
What ingredient are you unbelievably passionate about?
Wow. Okay. So if there's one particular ingredient, I think it's just basic salt and pepper.
Really?
Yeah, I think people will overthink items a lot of times, and I'm a very picky eater, okay? So what I, over the years, have realized is I go to a lot of events as well, and I've seen a lot of different things, and I feel like when people try to go over the top with all these different types of ingredients, now with people's dietary restrictions and being allergic to this and allergic to that, I think there's a new appreciation for letting people add on what they want. So find flavor in the very simplest form as you can find it, and then let people add on gravy if they want, sauce, different types of spices and things like that. But keep it to where everyone can enjoy it and it's flavorful there. And don't underestimate the power of just the right salt and pepper in something.
Yeah, I love that. My favorite's the mix of garlic, salt, and pepper.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
I love that. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Listen, I just
keep
ma-
it simple. To your
Yeah,
point.
when I barbecue chicken or whatever, it's literally salt, pepper, and a little bit of garlic.
I should say the not PC correct form of me personally would be sugar. Anything with sugar in it, I'm good.
All right, tell everybody how they can find you.
Very simple. If you just go to topshelfcateringcompany.com, that is our website. We are also on Facebook and Instagram. You can just kind of search Top Shelf Catering, and those are the best and easiest ways.
I love
That's
it.
awesome. You got anything else,
I'm
Mike?
glad we did this, Rob.
Yeah, me
Good
too.
job.
Yeah, me too.
Thanks for your time, and I know you're a busy man. So
Yeah, especially this time of year. So we
taking
really
an hour out of your
appreciate
day.
it.
Oh, no, it has been a pleasure. I love the Mount Pleasant Chamber and everything you guys do to support businesses, so it's always a pleasure to help out when I can.
That's awesome. Again, thank you so much, Rob, for taking your time today. We'd like to thank our sponsor, DK Design, and of course our partner, Charleston Media Solutions, for their support, not only of this podcast, but of the Mount Pleasant Chamber of Commerce. If you're interested in sponsoring or being a guest, please reach out to Rebecca at the Chamber, and we will get back to you. Make sure to like and subscribe to all of our media channels. We will be on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So here's to an amazing 2026, right, for all of us here at the Chamber.
Happy New Year.
Listen in to us, tune in. Until next time, Mount Pleasant. Until next time, listeners.